Yeah, it's been a year since Batman v Superman Dawn of Justice was released in cinemas, and to say the least, it's a very polarizing film. I actually supported the theatrical edition of this when it first came out. Some part of me as a filmmaker and editor knew that there must have been some portions cut out. And the editing was sloppy, but I did not think it deserved a 27% on Rotten Tomatoes. And I know it's an aggregator, but I've seen so many movies that have been worse than this. And I can't believe people want a more lighthearted Batman. Yeah, he's a bit excessive, he's a bit dark, but he's pretty much like Frank Miller's The Dark Knight Returns come to life. And I love all the Batmans. Christian Bale is a hard performance to top, but his was a comic book based Batman, where Ben Affleck is a comic book adapted Batman. And I really think he conveyed the 80s and also animated series Batman very well, as far as like him coming to life straight from the comics. That being said, the ultimate edition of this film is far superior. And I just like to take this time to reflect on my favorite moments and just kind of analyze different moments of this film and what makes it different from other superhero films, and also a bit more complex, and maybe what adds to the polarization of the film. Could there have been some stories that might as well have been cut? Yeah, sure. You could cut out certain portions. I have a full-length audio commentary you can check in the link below, and I go over that it feels like there's 3 really great films in this one good film. And maybe if you focus on just a little bit here and there, it would have been stronger. If you just focus on the ideologies of Superman and Batman by itself, no Wonder Woman, no Doomsday, might have been better. Other stuff with the Justice League by itself might have been better, but I like what we got. And Man of Steel is a far more entertaining film, but in my opinion, Batman v Superman is a better film as far as the story and what the character Superman goes through, if that makes any sense. But enough of that. I've defended this movie countless times, and yeah, I still stand by this film a year later. I gave this Ultimate Edition a 4.5 out of 5. And an A. So yeah, it makes my highest recommendations, and I just want to reflect on what I love about it so much. I've heard people talk about and rant over what they hate about the film. I just want to go over personally what I love about it as a fan, and why I defend the film and why I enjoy it. Is it the best film ever? No. Is it better than the Dark Knight trilogy? No, but it's a hell of a lot better than Batman and Robin and Superman 4: The Quest for Peace. I think it's even better than Superman Returns in that regard. But, on to stuff I like. I just love the opening. It's slow motion. We get a funeral, and it's very odd. It's a very different type of opening than Man of Steel, but it's also very cool because it parallels with Clark Kent's birth. It's the birth of Batman in this installment. And you get the Waynes getting shot in slow motion. And Zack Snyder, I said this in my commentary, is a very visual director. He knows how to stylize stuff, and it's almost like he brings the comic book pages or graphic novel pages to life. And I've seen the Waynes get shot in a number of incarnations, but for some reason, something about it felt so refreshing in this one. The way it was in slow motion, it's almost like you're in a car accident and it's Bruce reliving it over and over and seeing everything happen. It was probably very fast, but to him, he sees every detail as if it's in slow motion and he can't stop it. But I just love the opening. It has Ultimate Edition, and then you see the Mark of Zorro and Excalibur posters there. Mark of Zorro is a film he saw in the comics, also what influenced him. You can see there's a lot of influences Batman had from Zorro, whether it be Tornado being the Batmobile, him going to a cave, the dual identity aspect, and him being a Cape Crusader. Many things like that that really you could tell Batman derived from Zorro. And also, Excalibur is something very interesting because King Arthur, when he's against his son at the end of Excalibur, he gets stabbed. And there's something very interesting about foreshadowment with the Doomsday Superman fight at the end that I never really got until repeated viewings. Anyways, you get that necklace shot, totally like the Dark Knight Returns. Just everything is so great. And then Martha losing life. You see her lose life. And I like it where he falls. It has a man who falls vibe, Batman Begins. But it reminds me of the Red Book subplot from Batman Forever. The pearl there is a little odd, but when he goes up, it's just epic. Has a Danny Elfman type of theme, and I love how his silhouette makes it look like a bat going into the light. And of course they establish it's a dream, because at first I was like, this is really weird, but okay, I understand it. And I like the dream stuff. Could it have been omitted from the film? Sure, it absolutely could have been omitted from the film, but it adds something extra that felt very Frank Miller, Dark Knight Returns. Anyway, it goes to the Black Zero event with Superman arriving, and I wish that it started this way. That's one of my nitpicks. I love the opening, but I wish it just had text, like in Superman Returns when they said Jor-El and Laurel were scientists and they placed their infant son. They should have had that as far as like what happened in Man of Steel, aliens arrived, and then the end of the text should have been, and mankind is introduced to Superman, and then boom, going straight to the Black Zero event, and basically the third act, you see a Man of Steel from Bruce's point of view. Still an awesome opening, but that really would have got the audience in faster and just would have been like one of the best openings ever. It still is one of my favorite openings, but I like how they have the whole funeral thing, because the film begins and ends with a funeral. And not only is that interesting, but it's also very poetic and just perfect, because it signifies the birth and rebirth of Batman. You have the birth of Batman, the genesis of what created Batman, but then after Robin died, you supposedly see the Robin suit, and you find out in Suicide Squad that Joker and Harley killed him. He's been really dark, and then the whole opening, it's just intense on his ground view, and I said it reminds me of like 9/11, that horrible day, and it's just something about it's really eerie and haunting. And I've gone into more detail about it, but it's just a great scene. Seeing how Bruce Wayne is as an individual, running straight towards the danger instead of running away, shows the type of person he is. But it sets up everything you need to know of why Batman is after Superman. And that's one brilliant thing about this film, is that they both judge each other based on preconceived notions. They think that they're an open book just because of what they see of each other. They don't really know the other individual, and it's basically them going after each other on preconceived notions, whether it be Bruce Wayne believing that this Superman is an alien that's dangerous, that he represents, he doesn't represent what's best for humanity. He's an outsider. He's a danger among us. Or whether it be Bat Vigilante with Clark Kent investigating this Bat Vigilante terrorizing people in Gotham. He has gotten a bit darker, meaner, but it shows you both of their ideologies. And also, in the Ultimate Edition, it's a more Clark Kent Superman-driven film, where it was a Batman-driven film. And in this Ultimate Edition, Batman's really the villain besides Lex Luthor. Yeah, I just love the ideology aspect of it, but looking back on it, I like how you get that from the both of them and how they judge each other. But Alfred took notice that Batman, Bruce Wayne, has become a darker individual, and I love that because there's a redemption for him and Wonder Woman throughout this film. Wonder Woman gave up on humanity a long time ago after the Great War, probably what's going to be in the Wonder Woman movie in June, and Batman just doesn't give a shit. He's old, he's like 40-something, it's just like, I've been fighting crime for years, nothing changes. I'm going to start changing my ways, and he's darker. He just doesn't care. Now, sure, I don't mind Batman killing because he's done before, but it shows you how far he's gone from his moral code. And he gets back to that after the death of Superman in Suicide Squad. But you see here how he's just kind of lost hope, how there's people who are broken. And the world's broken as well, and when Superman dies, it inspires Batman to change and become that person. And he was really on the road to that before Superman died. But you also have Wonder Woman believing in humanity again, and then you show the world, and the world's kind of united in a way. They were against the Superman all this time, and then when he dies, they just realize, wow, we're back to a world without a Superman. Everything changes, yet it goes back to being the same. But if they seek this idol, look around you, and it's really with them and the human race and what it could be. Superman's the embodiment of what the human race could be if they're strive towards their best potential, and I love that. They created a Messiah complex with Kal-El. Man of Steel already had it, but this one really strives further to put the Messiah complex on Superman. And I also like how he's treated in the world. You have CNN, Soledad O'Brien, Daily Show. It feels like it's grounded in the real world. And what I love about that is And here's what I think, personally, my personal opinion, why people really dislike this film. I mean, it's for other reasons, whether they want it to be funny or more lighthearted. The story, whatever chicken shit, stupid reason. The real reason I think why people don't like it, they do not want to admit that if a Superman being did exist in our world, this is exactly the way we would treat him in our world if we did see a Superman. He'd be treated, he'd be judged this way as you see in the film. And people just do not want to admit deep down that they would treat an alien like that. I mean, isn't it so hard to believe? Look at how we treat people with other races, creeds, other countries, nationalities. Just look at how we treat one another just in this country. Just what's going on with the past elections and stuff. Is it really that hard to believe that we're going to treat an alien, an outsider who's not even a human being on planet Earth this way? It's not that far-fetched. We barely treat each other good. We treat each other like shit on this world. We should be more united in the world, but the world doesn't work that way, and I'm glad because this Superman is really a reflection of a 21st century. This is a 21st century Superman. And I wanted to be more hopeful and inspiring, like Christopher Reeves. But to be honest, it's not exactly Christopher Reeves' Superman's world anymore. Henry Cavill, this Superman, he's the embodiment of the 21st century Superman. And Jonathan and Martha Kent are a bit harsh, but you know what? Deep down, they know that human beings would react this way. That's why they told him about it and warned him. That's why you have that scene with Martha talking to him on the phone, or even there, where it's just like, you don't owe the world a damn thing. Okay? She's talking about like people deserving him and stuff, and I find it great. I mean, it's not as inspiring or like traditional as the other Kents and different incarnations, but really deep down they're just telling Clark Kent, Superman, straight up and like, hey, you can do this can happen, but the world may not be ready for you yet. And that's what this really explores. And I love that in the film. And there's also deeper themes as far as just like Superman being the ultimate immigrant. There's little nods to the protest, whether it be like no alien allowed, and how they treat it when they protest and have him like they basically lynch the Superman doll that's on fire, and the kids see that on the news. That's so haunting. And then when he's in Juarez, Mexico, he saves his girl, and you just see them all there worshiping him. And I like that because also it makes him a more global hero in this film. And you don't really get to see that too much. You've seen it a little bit in Superman Returns and Superman 3-4, and a little bit of 2 in the theatrical cut for Christopher Reeve. But he's really a global hero in this version, and I also like it because he's a messiah. Again, with the messiah complex, people look up to him as a god, but then with that given, they put a label on him, and they expect him to follow these rules and do all this, but really, he doesn't need to abide by them. And it's a question of like, do we really need a Superman, and what is acceptable and what is not acceptable when it comes to a being like this existing? And I just love how they explore that in this film. And also it adds to Lex Luthor just hating Superman. I mean, I wish they went more into like, oh, he's an illegal alien, he's this alien being, but no, he's because he's practically God. And Lex is just like, this man, this being isn't a god. I want to show you that God can bleed. There's that line where he's just like, if God is all good, then he can't be all powerful. If he's all powerful, then he can't be all good. He really wants to break down this individual, and he just hates Superman because he just practically exists. And I love how they explore that, what drives Lex Luthor. He has his own set of issues in this film, but like it shows you, like in the comics and then in this film, what drives Lex Luthor to basically want him to go after and just destroy Superman on just principle alone and his beliefs. Since we're on that topic, Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. I wasn't sure about his casting originally, and he's excessive in this. He was like on dial 11. They should have told him to dial it down a couple of notches to maybe 7. I like his performance at the beginning. It's the party scene as I go into my commentary that really begins to kind of get crazy, where he becomes almost an Edward Nygma, Willy Wonka on cocaine type of person and really jittery. But in a way, he reminds me more of the mad scientist. And I know people just hate Jesse Eisenberg as Lex, but I thought he represented early Lex Luthor very well from the 40s and 50s. He represented that mad scientist Lex Luthor, and people forget about that. Gene Hackman had set a precedent of what Lex Luthor can be. Michael Rosenbaum did a great job. And the 80s comics did a great job of like changing Lex Luthor, making him more cold, calculative businessman type. This one kind of was like a mixture of that, the clone he had in the 90s in the Death of Superman world, and the world without Superman comics, and also the mad scientist, like in this photo here. He's skinnier than that, but it also makes me wonder. He says his father puts the Lex in front of LexCorp. Was his father named Lex as well, or is he referring to the original Lex Luthor, and is he just like the Lex Luthor's consciousness into a younger body? I don't know. I think it's just Lex Luthor, but I like it there because it combines a bit of the mad scientist Lex, a little bit of the business, makes it younger, it kind of puts it into a more Superman secret origin Lex Luthor, and it adds a new complex to what drives him as a character. And Jesse Eisenberg's very underrated. He has these crazy speeches and everything, but there's certain moments of intimidation and just cold. He's just a vindictive son of a bitch in some scenes. When the senator's meeting with him, and she's like, I'm not going to allow your import license, okay? I'm denying your import license. And he's like drinking his wine, and then he just like looks up, and that look, there's another Lex that's hidden. He has like this mask in a way that Batman does as Bruce Wayne. Lex Luthor has like this part of himself that he wants the public to perceive, but there's another uglier, just maniacal individual that's private, and I kind of like that aspect of it. I really hope he turns more into the cold, calculative Lex Luthor now that once he's in prison, he's going to be transferred to Arkham, and he's shaved his head. He might be more like the Lex Luthor from the comics. But yeah, he definitely has those attributes, and a little bit of Super Friends as well. Amy Adams is Lois Lane. She's fine. She's personally not my favorite Lois Lane. I wish they would get like a brunette. That's just me, and then her and Henry Cavill's chemistry is just a little off. But I do like the relationship in this, and that's one good thing about Man of Steel. She found out that Clark Kent is Superman. So you don't have that whole hiding the dual alter ego thing going on. She knows he's Superman, so it feels like the last season of Smallville or Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, or the later on comics after they got married. You're able to deal with the relationship on an individual level between Clark Kent and Lois. Not only as colleagues at the Daily Planet, but also as Superman. She's like, thank you for saving me, but it comes at a cost. And it's like, he saves her all the time, but there's a cost for saving her, and it's really holding him back from saving others. And I love that. One nitpick, yeah, he does save Lois, but you know what? Every damn Superman movie has where he just saves Lois over and over again. Yeah, they kind of need to get away from that, or at least have Lois investigate stuff with Clark Kent. Smallville and Lois and Clark did that very well, where if she's in danger, it's because they're both investigating something. And sometimes she would save him. Wonder Woman. Yeah, I actually like Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman. Sure, the accent's a bit weird, but I like it. It sounds foreign, it sounds exotic, but she's like from a different area. It doesn't sound like... I mean, like in this universe it's set up, you could believe she's from a place called Themyscira. You can believe she's an Amazonian princess that's been around for hundreds of years, you know? So, I find that believable. And I like her role in this, and when she suits up, it's the best freaking scene. The soundtrack is amazing. Is She With You? Black and Blue, Fight Night, Beautiful Lie, just everything about Hans Zimmer's score is great, and it surprised me from doing Dark Knight to this. I like Jeremy Irons as Alfred. He's very kind of like smart-ass, and you can believe he had training in the Secret Service. He's kind of more of an engineer in this one, but you could tell he's more like the Alfred from the comic books. Lawrence Fishburne as Perry White. I love him as Perry White. There's a part in there where Clark's trying to convey that there's a crime rate in Gotham. He's like, crime in Gotham rampant. In other news, water, wet. Meaning, yeah, no duh, it's Gotham City. I just love that. Besides the ideologies and acting, I also like some of the Justice League cameos. Now, I know that there's like the whole MOV file thing, but I like how Cyborg's there. It's very much like the New 52 comics, or like his inception from the Mother Box. You have Steppenwolf there, the Angel Devil mural. There's a lot of foreshadowment to Darkseid and what's going to end up arriving. The dream sequences could have been cut. Man-Bat freaked me out. I love the nightmare scene. Now, was it needed in the movie? No. I just personally enjoy it. It gives some extra motivation for why he's after Superman. And then there's a Flash thing, but it could have been cut out. But I think it would have been better if it was a post-credit scene and you thought Superman would stay dead, and then he's just like, whoa, Superman's alive and he's bad? What the hell happened? And it would make you wonder for upcoming movies. But with that being said, I liked it for what it was, but it would be even better if they paid off, like I said in my previous reviews, in the future. If like Flash is like, I'm going to go warn you, pull an X-Men Days of Future Past, it's like, oh shit, I'm too early, you need to find me. But I love that. It's a reference to Crisis on Infinite Earths, and you also have the regime there and Parademon, Superman Bat. It's a reference for any video gamers out there. It's a reference to Injustice, Gods Among Us. And I just love that as a fan. And it's such a cool scene. Batman using a gun, just wiping out people. It's like all Mad Max. Just great. Omega symbol. But it also represents his fears. I like the little Easter egg with the photograph. Steve Trevor. And what ultimately is going to be the Wonder Woman movie. And then that fight scene, very Dark Knight Returns again. Zack Snyder could have made just a straight-up adaptation of The Dark Knight Returns and it would have been perfect. I like the fight. Now, realistically, Superman could have just been like, blew Batman's head off or something. But he didn't want to. They didn't do that. They have to have a fight. It has to be Batman v Superman. But I like how it has just V instead of versus. I mean, versus would be better, but it's more about ideologies and them fighting. It's like a case. It's like Batman v Superman, and it's like their points of view fighting. And again, with the Dawn of Justice, it's the dawn of the Justice League, but also, again, with that, the redemption of Batman, Wonder Woman, and the world is almost like the dawn from the darkness. This was the darkness. The darkness always comes before the dawn, so to speak. That was said in Dark Knight. So, I love that. But yeah, that fight scene was just straight from the comic books. And now to the Martha scene. One of the most infamous scenes. Now, looking back on it, I can see people's nitpick on the execution. But I think people who criticize the scene or do not take it seriously just miss the entire point of the scene. He did not stop to kill Superman because his mother had the same name as Superman's mother. No. The whole scene with him saying, "Save Martha," he was thinking back to when his father said Martha. His mother was dying, but it's an important scene because this whole time Alfred, just everybody, has been telling Bruce, you're going too far. There's that scene where he says his family members, his ancestors were hunters. He leaves and Alfred's just like, so falls the house of Wayne. He sees this man he raised just be gone down to a path of darkness. What I love about that scene is that at that moment he realizes that he's become the very thing that killed his parents. And that is what is so emotional about that scene. That's what really stops him from killing Superman. It's not because, oh, your mom's name's Martha, oh my god, I can't kill you, let's be friends. It seems to happen that fast, but no. No. He still has his reservations about Superman, but he's agreed to save Martha. But before that, he sees that spear, he sees him there, Lois comes in, that's his mother's name. He realizes this isn't just some random alien. This guy is an individual, he has a mother, and he was about to not only rob that, as far as like not saving the mother, but he was about to kill her son in cold blood with a spear. And I just love this scene of that acting. Now, could have they used an extra shot of him looking at the spear and then throwing? Sure, but I just love that because at that moment, Batman finally realizes how far he has gone for this. That this man's not really his enemy, but also that he's become the very thing that created him. He's become that Joe Cho, that random mugger that killed his parents. And that is what is so powerful about that scene. It's so underrated and just underappreciated and just not even noticed. And I know there might be some people to argue against that, but really, if you don't understand that, then you just missed the entire point completely. To me, as a Batman fan and a viewer of this film, that's what I got out of that Martha scene, is that Batman stopped himself from going over that line, but also from going down the path of darkness even further, and basically stopped himself from becoming the man who killed his parents. That is what makes that so powerful, because that is the first step of where he starts to become more like the Batman we all know and love. This he's just like, this is too much. He's like, I help you, Superman. But that's what really is the catalyst for him to be reborn as the Batman that was created that day at the funeral after when his parents were shot. It's a rebirth of that Bruce Wayne, that Batman that was created the night his parents died. And that's what's so poetic about the funeral at the beginning and the end. It represents the birth and rebirth of Batman. That warehouse fight, again, it's like a goddamn Arkham game come to life. It's just incredible. I just love that. That's the best fight scene. It's the best fight scene, and I just love that shot. Now, on that guy, I thought he like crushed his nuts or something, but he hits him in the throat. But I just love how intimidating it is, how intimidating he is. And yeah, with Dark Knight Returns, earlier you have him with a tracking dart using a gun. So it's a sniper, just like in Dark Knight Returns. And I hate how there's people who are like, he uses a gun, he uses a sniper, why does he use a sniper? Read a fucking comic book, for Christ's sake. Second of all, I love that moment too where he like gets the goon out of the wall and then KGB's just like, I'll shoot her, I swear to God I shoot her. And he's like, I believe you. And then shoots. Totally Dark Knight Returns. I love it. And speaking of shoot, before I move on, there was Jimmy Olsen at the beginning, who you thought was killed, but upon rewatching, the CIA people were like, hey, Talon's out. Now, either Talon was a codename or Talon was his real name, and Jimmy Olsen was a codename, so you still may have Jimmy Olsen alive. We'll just have to see. If not, it doesn't really need to be a Jimmy Olsen, but I do think that he would have helped if he had a Jimmy Olsen character with Lois in that end fight. My main nitpick of the film still, why the hell did Lois drop the spear down in the water in the first place? Couldn't they just left it there and then gone back? Like, it's just stupid. I was expecting to see Aquaman come out of the damn water with a spear. Like, I really was expecting that. It didn't happen. It's one of my pet peeves. I'm just like, why, Lois? Why the hell did you even do that? And then you have to go back and get it. That's one of my main nitpick of this film that I just absolutely just get pissy about. And then again, that fight is incredible. You get Dark Knight Returns references with Superman being nuked. The whole oh shit moment, and then Wonder Woman saving him, best moment, Holy Trinity shot, oh my god, just take all my money. Amazing. It's just like, is she with you? It's just like, I thought she was with you. He's like, I kill things from other worlds. But I love that moment. And Batman I like too, because he's not fighting Doomsday with them. It's mostly Wonder Woman and Superman. He knows when to stay the hell out. He's just like, this is above me. I'm not capable of fighting that giant thing. No. So I like that, and you get that lightning shot at Dark Knight Returns, and he takes his shots when he has the most opportune moment to do so. And then, of course, you have Superman killing Doomsday. And, yeah, that might have been too soon, but I expected it when I saw Doomsday in the trailer. And did they need to kill him after doing the nuke? Maybe, maybe not, but I think the reason why they showed the nuke scene is to clarify, hey, he can't really die. So then, again, that rebuffers the ending with the grave. But he gets pierced, much like King Arthur and Excalibur, but also Doomsday is a genetic clone of, or like hybrid clone of General Zod. If you remember in Man of Steel, General Zod killed Jor-El with like a knife or a spear through his wrist, and Jor-El died there. Here, his hand's cut off by Wonder Woman, it grows like a bone, and he kills Superman in a very similar, if not the exact way he killed Jor-El in Man of Steel. And I find that quite fascinating from the beginning of Man of Steel to the end of Dawn of Justice. And then, of course, when they bring him down, adding to the Messiah complex, you have him die, and it's very Christ-like. It's almost like the painting you see where they're bringing Jesus Christ down from a crucifix. It has that level there. Red cape, the red robe. Just, yeah. It's very Christ-like, and again, Zack Snyder's such a visual director. I love that shot. It's like a painting or like a Last Supper. It's just amazing. And then you have the funeral. And what's crazy about the funeral is that it's all empty. It's a world without Superman. But I like it because it also shows Kennedy dead, a newspaper in Daily Planet, and it really shows you. It has parallels to when John F. Kennedy died and his funeral and the impact it had. And it shows everyone. Military procession, not only with just JFK, but also world without Superman. And that was very powerful to me. To show that on a human level, all types of people, is very diverse. In mourning for the loss of Superman. And I love that statue where it's like, if you seek this idol, if you seek his idol, look around you. And I just love that message. And then Bruce Wayne and Wonder Woman having hope. And yeah, Warner Brothers cut way too many scenes in the theatrical, but I love the Ultimate Edition where he visits Lex. He says to him, "You're going to Arkham." I have a couple of friends there still. But I also like it because you show Lex and he's just like a maniacal little twerp. He's a little shit, basically. He's just like, I'm insane. Like he's getting away with something. So it just shows how arrogant he is as a character. Reminds me of a younger Dr. Evil from Austin Powers Goldmember, but that's just me. And, of course, that end scene, Parrot White and Jenny there. I like Jenny as a character. I'm glad you get to see Parrot White there, Pete, and the priest. And then that ending, very League of Extraordinary Gentlemen-like with the grave. So we'll have to see what happens with Justice League. But yeah, I just love the imagery here from the comics, whether it be Dark Knight Returns, Death of Superman, World Without Superman, Alex Ross paintings, or even the Superman statue. It's more godlike in this one. But I just love all this stuff. And I have more in-depth stuff, but if you like to see or hear more of my in-depth thoughts, go ahead and listen to my audio commentary in the link below. It's abridged. I kind of fast forward towards the end because my throat was hurting, but I've done a lot of talking about this. But it's a very underrated movie in my opinion, and an underappreciated one. It's not the best superhero movie ever, but I don't think it gets its fair share. And say what you will about the quality, but nobody's talked about the other superhero films. X-Men Apocalypse, Captain America Civil War, Doctor Strange. I don't hear nobody talking about them a year later. This one, whether you love the film, like it, hate it, just despise it, people are still talking about it. So it's very polarizing, but yet I think it's really special and really has a statement of our modern world right now. And in the future, I think this is going to get a greater appreciation and be remembered for being different, and I like that. It's different than any other superhero film, whether it be DC, Marvel, Image Comics, Dark Horse, whatever. It's different, and I'm glad that it made an effort to try to do something that's not from the usual formula. It's not about jokes, one-liners, not about making it light and stuff. It actually had a statement about something, and it had these characters, ideologies, beloved trinity of superheroes in one movie. However, was it maybe a little bit too ambitious and try to put too much into one film? Yes. But I think they could learn from this and just remember that less sometimes is more. But ultimately, I still love this film. Now, the theatrical version I can't watch after the Ultimate Edition, but a year later, I'm glad to say I'll watch this, and there's moments of it that I still catch. Like, I just learn different things about this film. And when I'm in a down mood or something, I just love watching it. And for a 3-hour movie, it goes by pretty fast for me. So I like the performances. Ben Affleck's great as Batman, but I think Henry Cavill is really underappreciated as Superman. I think he did a better job in this one than he did in Man of Steel. And I don't think he gets enough recognition. And Zack Snyder is a great director. Say what you will about the stories, but he doesn't write those scripts. He just directs. The visual styles he has. His films like Watchmen, 300, Dawn of the Dead. Sucker Punch, while not as good as the other ones, was still a visual feat, I feel. And he has a certain look. When you look at the films, it's like Michael Mann films. You just automatically know it's a Zack Snyder film. And Watchmen is among one of my favorite films. And just like Watchmen, I think that this, after a couple of years after the release, is going to get more love than it did upon its initial release. So anyway, on this PCDC, that is my quick re-review and analysis of Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice. If you like this, feel free to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts on the film, whether you love it or hate it. And if you like this, feel free to subscribe to my channel and check out my other stuff. Check out the other Batman movie reviews and audio commentary in the link below. And yeah, if I were you, I would go ahead and watch this if you like it. But yeah, that's just my personal thoughts. And a year later, I never thought I would like the film still. It's a fast year. But, you know, I got a new Batman, Superman. It's the Holy Trinity for the first time, and Wonder Woman for the first time in, like, I don't know how many years. 40 years if you count television, but on film the first time. Have her, Dr. Pepper, Wonder Woman, Superman. The movie dropped. And then Batman on this Dr. Pepper. Anyway, that is my review and analysis of Dawn of Justice. And yeah, thank you for watching, and feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and have a nice day.